right, here we go, Joe. I gotta let the people in. They wanna hear. So we got to go ahead and get this thing rolling. I'm excited, dude. Let me. As soon as my mouse starts working, at least I think that in 2 seconds when I flip the channel to you, I'm gonna unmute. So don't speak yet because they can't hear you. Okay. You are live, brother. Hey, first of all, I miss you. Holy crap. It's only been one extra day, but why does that one extra day feel like it's been a year? I missed you, brother. It's so nice to be back here in the booth, chopping it up again. How you doing, friend?
Yeah, it's definitely the time of the week that we miss, and we long for that. We wait for that. I really enjoy being here and having these conversations. And today it's a special day, right? So we
It
couldn't
is.
make yesterday, but today we are making up for folks
Right?
because we do have something special.
For a good cause, right? And another day for a good cause. And I agree, it's been a long week. So I want to share this because somebody needs to hear this, right? Somebody had a really, really tough week. Somebody had a really long week. It's been one of those weeks, right? So I just want to share some love, some positive admiration, send some positive thoughts out there. If you need to hear that, I'm here for you. I know it's been a long week. Kick back. We got some interesting stuff. But yeah, Joe, I'm excited. Special guest, special time. Who is it? Who is it? Let me hear it, Joe.
Exactly. Yeah, first of all, special time. We want to engage with folks across the globe, right? So
Yeah.
today or tonight or this morning, we are going overseas. We are going live on
Ooh.
EST, right, on Indian Standard
Yeah.
Time. And we have no one but Mukesh Kala.
Woo! There we go. The drum roll. I hope I
Yeah,
get as good a drum roll as you, brother.
he's a
Nice.
superstar. He,
Absolutely.
yeah, he's 4 times MVP, UiPath MVP. He's a LinkedIn top voice. He has an incredible YouTube channel that even UiPath folks rely on his videos when they don't know what to do.
Right?
So
Absolutely.
it's incredible. I already watched his videos many, many times, and you helped me a lot already, Mukesh. So today, I'm so pleased to have you here. And again, I just
Same.
want to shout out because it was a very short notice.
Yes.
I talked to you a few hours ago, and you just signed me up. So yeah, thank you very much, man. I appreciate it.
Thank you both of you for inviting me. It's always a pleasure to talk to the community, people with the same skill set, same passion towards automation. And yes, let's see what we get out of it yet. So
Man, and I know, right? We
excited
got
to be here.
right. We got a lot of questions, and I agree,
Yeah.
right? I have the same sentiment as Joe, right? Incredibly impressive resume. What you've done in the community, it stands on its own, right? I was just, eyeballing your YouTube channel and what you've done for people who are trying to get jobs and the interview, series that you've put out. So much positive impression you've sent to me. And I'm not going to lie, 4-time MVP, I would be lying to anybody listening to this if I said that I didn't recognize what you did before I ever won an MVP award. You made an impression
Exactly.
on me, people like you, right? And so super excited to have this conversation. And one thing I'm also excited for is that you seemed a little nervous when we were in the opening lobby and you said, so what are the topics? And we said, freestyle. You're like, oh.
Yeah. I thought it's going to be some predefined agenda, right? So whenever I join such session, there is an agenda, but it's good that we are just talking, right?
There we go.
Let's see.
Yeah, yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
cool.
Something something that GPT couldn't write, right? There we
Couldn't.
go.
Yes, exactly.
But Joe, I'm gonna crack this beer
Okay.
before we get started, friend. We
Well,
got to a few
for me,
water.
yeah, for me it's too late. I'm drinking coffee.
Hey, that's
So
good.
Mukesh, I know
It's
it's very
early
early.
morning
Yeah, so
coffee.
Yeah.
yeah, so we are together on
There
this
we
on the
go.
same boat with some coffee, some caffeine to keep us awake. But let's get this started by introducing. Like I
Yes.
introduced Mukesh very quickly. So Mukesh, if you wanna just get started and talk about you a little bit, and then we can take from there.
Yes, so as you guys have already mentioned that I am 4 times UiPath MVP. I have close to 10 years of experience, and right now I am leading a hyper automation practice for a company called Boundaryless Group. I have worked with previous companies like Accenture, Atos.
Oh
You might
wow.
know it from Central. I worked for Deloitte.
Mm-hmm.
I worked for Bank of England for some time, right? And then in this part, right?
Impressive.
So apart from that, I contribute to UiPath community, as one of the contribution is the UiPath channel. Apart from that, I am mentor with UiPath community, where I mentor students. Last year we did a program which touched at around 17,000 students, 17K
Holy
students.
crap! Wow, that's
Wow,
Yes,
that's
impressive. That's
impressive.
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
amazing. Nice.
Yeah, learning and upskilling to RPA. And then, as you mentioned, that I already had that mock series. I do
Mm-hmm.
some of the live sessions in my native language, which is Hindi as well. So
Beautiful.
people who are not comfortable, so I try to do the same sessions in the native language. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's some of the contribution which UiPath recognizes. Yeah.
Man, no
Well,
doubt.
yeah, that's so awesome because most of material we have and videos and sharing content in general is in English, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's where we have most of the things. But you mentioned something very very important. You teach and you help people on your own language, right?
Yeah.
So how much impact have you seen with that work?
Okay. So I think I would like to share two instances which I really felt that okay, my work is getting something, like noticed or something, right?
Yeah.
So there was a lady, I just directly called. My number is available on my website, by the way, right? People can just go and they text and they email me, right? That we
Hmm.
want to do that, right? And there was a lady who just called me, and I was like, okay, she was like, hey, I'm very much frustrated with my job. I am a game developer tester,
Oh,
and my
interesting.
boss is and my boss is literally giving me tasks which I'm not able to do. I
Hmm.
was just seeing your UiPath things, and I felt somewhere I can do that, right?
Yeah.
And she was like, so I can quit. I have a kid. I want to do this. I want to do this, but my company is not letting me do that, right?
Mm-hmm.
I was like, okay, let's do something, right? I told her that I'll try to train you, and the only thing would be that you have to pay full attention and you have to be with me with this session, right? So I trained her for close to 3-4 weeks on all this test suite and all. She was already
Oh,
having
wow.
a technical background, and after some time she was able to change the job. And then during the DevCon summit this year, she met me in person and like, hey,
Nice.
Wow.
do you recognize me? I was like, yeah, I do recognize you from the appearance, but not really. And then she was like, I am the lady you helped me to change
That's
from that phase,
Wow.
and now I am a full-time RPA QA working in this company, attending DevCon and listening. I was like, okay,
man.
this is
Wow.
something which is great, right? So
Right?
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That
I
that give me some shivers because it's such a impressive and you can see the impact right there and then, right? And it's so amazing because it changes you from inside, right?
hmm
You
Yes. Yes.
you think you are helping others, but it's actually the other way around, right? They are helping you to grow as a
Yeah.
person, as a professional.
And the thing which has changed after that is when I was previously making videos, right? It was just like, okay, what is best which I can do? And
hmm
now my majority of the content streams around at what the audience is liking.
Yeah.
So previously I used to just build on topics and all, but now most of my content is kind of a live content. So I start live to session. So this is what I have learned again from this YouTube, right? When I am talking to the camera, people are okay, fine, you talk to camera,
hmm
they are interested, somebody listen. But when two people are talking, like we three are talking, right?
Yeah.
Then people are more interested to listen from that conversation and learn some things. That's why if you see my channel, the highest going videos are the one where I'm talking live to
Yeah.
people, taking live interviews, discussing their problems, right? So what's your take on that?
Nice.
No, I think that that's like an excellent perspective too, right? I feel that the value that you can generate and when you see it impact people's lives is great. But when you're able to also do it real time, right? And they're engaged and they're asking questions, there's something about that connection when people already know you have information out there and
Yeah.
then they get an opportunity to actually correspond with you. It's like they feel like that they're on the team, right? They feel like they
Yeah.
they can reach out to you and ask you questions if they get stuck or if they need advice, right? And I love the bridge that you've built with the community that you're creating, right? And it's no small feat, right? Tens of thousands across LinkedIn and YouTube. And I think that the best thing is you just put the value out there, right? You don't need a lot of flash. You're putting it out there for people to really take the opportunity. And so I think that that's beautiful. What do you think if there is somebody who wants to start this journey, right? Because that's one thing I love about this space. You can come out with really good solution tutorials, but damn, like UiPath's product is phenomenal. They'll bring some new stuff, and now that's no longer state of the art. So I want to get from your perspective as someone who's went down this road, if you're someone who wants to be the next Mukesh and wants to help and build tutorials, you know, what was it like for you trying to build this stuff while the tool is evolving? What kind of recommendations would you have?
Okay, so building content is, see, first of all, I'm not an expert content creator, right? I'm not that guy that who is having all this, good. I'm the single person, right? I don't have a team who does this research, thumbnail.
Oh, yeah,
Everything
right,
is
right.
generated by me, right? I'm
Yes.
learning over a period of time, but one thing which I noticed is that when I used to look the other content, right, other people content who are in this space, and then what the thing this I was trying to create a content as they are creating,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
So we
Yeah.
always follow. So I follow a very big creator, and I say, okay, he said that, let me try to do that, right?
Yep.
And in that process, you lose what you actually have, right?
Yeah,
So
true,
then
true.
what I did is I stopped looking the content for reference. If I need education, yes, but
Yeah.
for how they're creating, I don't look that at all. That was the first change. The second thing is I just don't go by that thing that, okay, this content is already available, why would people like to watch my content, right? That's not the case, right?
Yep.
If it was the best content, it would have been highly ranked, right? So when I was starting with this basic series of UiPath, right, and there was always a question, right? It's already available in the academy, right? It's already
Yeah.
available by creator. Why
Yeah,
would you
true.
again like to reinvent the thing, right? And the thing is, why you want to do that? Because you have something different which the other creator does not have. The way you explain, the way you speak,
Yep.
and the way you are able to interact, right? And there is some new element which you have to put in those videos. And for me, the new element was I created my own website, mukeshkala.com, and what I did is, whatever I am doing, I just uploaded all the materials, files, exes on that website. Now
Yeah.
whosoever is watching my video, they can just download those files and practice along with me. So at the end of the video, they are not just getting and understanding, they have the full-fledged use case at the end of the video.
And they got
So
everything they need to kind of like progress
yes,
through it. That's great. It's like
Yeah.
almost
yes,
like a repository. That's
Yeah.
cool. So the one thing I like that you even called out right there was that, you know, if you're just starting out, don't be afraid to, you know, emulate another content creator that you enjoy watching, right? Until you get to a point where you feel like, now I don't want to be like that person. I'm losing my identity. Let me go ahead and try my style. So I like that.
Well, yeah, we all need inspiration, right?
Yeah.
We don't have ideas out of nothing. We have to see someone doing something that is going to trigger an idea or an inspiration for us to do something similar or even different, right?
Yeah.
I used to play the drums. I still do some, very amateur, but I have these drummers that I love to listen. And it was funny because I would go to drum clinics,
Yeah.
and after I got back from the clinic, my I had like this garage band, and my colleagues would say, "Man, you sound different," because I would see someone doing something, and that would inspire me to play different. And I believe this applies for everything, right? For content creation, for professional life, programming languages, everything. Like,
Even now you're probably building bots, right? I mean, when
yeah,
you built your first solution and some of the things that you didn't consider, probably a solution architect was like, "Hey, buddy, you forgot to do this test, or you forgot this scenario in your error logging, right? So your log handling." So I think that that's definitely true, right? I can't can't argue with the
Yep.
man. Joe does this. All right, we'll get on here, and I'll be like, oh, that's pretty interesting, and he'll be like, but there's also a valid point here. So it is a pretty universal truth, I think. But what I would like to chime in there, I don't think that is universal. Is that people being naturally comfortable to go ahead and emulate and put it out there, right? Some people might be afraid, like, I don't want to go out there and do a tutorials by Mukesh style video, because then people are going to be like, dude, you're trying to be like Mukesh, right? So I think that there's a scenario too where people are afraid, but I'd say, hey, even though it's universal and you are inspired, don't be afraid to try it. Put your content out there. I guarantee you, nobody cares at that level, right? I mean, now if you still Mukesh's script and you word for word, you could probably maybe you get a strike. He might report you, but as long as you're not stealing it, right? I don't think there's any harm there. So my only point, Joe, was like, hey, if you are in that nature, don't be afraid to at least attempt, right? To go out there, try it. So
Exactly.
there is no harm in attempting, right? See, I started YouTube by looking at somebody else, right? That okay, if this guy can do it, let me do it, right? And if you just go and watch my first video, I just created it on a free software which still has the software marking on the video,
yeah.
right?
Oh
The
man,
And I still,
watermarker.
yeah, watermark is
I
still there
love
on
it.
the
Yeah,
video,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And I didn't remove that video, by the way, right? I just keep it there for the people who say that, hey, I want to start. And if you listen to that, the voice is I'm just using my mobile headset.
Yeah.
And over a period of time, when you revisit your videos, then you realize that okay, it was not. But I didn't
Yep.
realize the day that when that shift happened, right? It happened over a period of time. If I
Yeah.
ask you, right, I see both of your setup, right? Let's a question to both of you, right? How
Yeah.
much time did you take to bring to this setup? Did it happen in one day?
Yeah.
It's like 4 years
Uh,
of setup.
yeah.
4 years of
Yeah.
setup, right?
Try
Now,
here, this there.
this setup,
Exactly.
right? What you both are having, right? It took you 4 years. That what painting should I put on the wall? There should be a TV. There should be a TV which should have beers and this animation
The
running, right?
logo. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly.
So that takes
Yeah.
time, but I agree to you. Get started is the
Yeah.
important
Take
thing.
that
Take
step, right?
inspiration and then just
Action.
let's
So
see where it
yeah,
goes.
I believe that we should act more and think less, especially in the beginning, right? So start doing something. It's not going to be perfect. It will probably suck. It will be terrible the initial ones,
Yep.
but eventually you start learning and you get better and you improve yourself, you improve your skills, you buy some new equipment, some camera, microphone, whatever, software, and then things started going better. This very podcast we were talking the last session, just Jeremy and I, if it, like if you watch the first 5 episodes, probably,
If you can
man,
watch them.
yeah, I cannot watch.
Yeah, right. It's like,
Just,
oh,
I will
cringe.
tell you that I cannot watch. But then we were always on the side talking, man, we need to improve this, camera, microphone, or even the looks, because what we see here on our screen is not what we see on the stream. The stream has a different theme, right?
Yeah.
So we have the camera set up and so on and so forth. So all the small, tiny little details that who just see for the first time doesn't
Painful.
pay attention, right? It's transparent almost, but for us it makes a ton of a difference.
Yeah, no doubt. Speaking again, something new, Mukesh, I'm going to lasso us back in here to automation. Have you started the dive into AI and autopilot and stuff like that? Let me know where you're at. Where do you sit currently? What kind of experience do you have on that stuff?
Okay, so I am AI. I am doing because last year I was the studio MVP. This year I am MVP for DU. So
Okay.
AI with UiPath, we
Awesome.
are doing it, right? But something new, which as you already mentioned, right, autopilot is something which we are exploring as a company, as an individual, with the UiPath product team as well. So yes, I see it as a new dimension. It has opened to the automations, right? So we are moving away from attended, unattended to these kind of stuffs, and trust me, the possibilities are endless, right? It has an endless possibility. So yes, to answer your question, yes, I've started
Nice.
looking into this autopilot kind of stuff.
Now, so part of my topic and presentation at Ford this year is about agentic process automation. And so I've been asking at least everybody we speak to the same question, and I want to get your thoughts and feedback. Is RPA dead with agents now? Is RPA dead?
I think no.
Okay.
So it is not RPA versus agents.
Okay.
It's agents plus RPA, or other way around, RPA plus agents, right?
Okay.
When AI came, everybody was like, now AI can do this, AI can do this, right? So you have, okay, by the way, I can meet you at Forward.
Great. Yeah, let's do it. Hey, link it up. We might even have to do a podcast live from Vegas. Right?
I just recently got my visa approved, so that
Beautiful, bro. Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Are you doing Tech Ed Day? You teaching?
I didn't actually applied for that. The reason for that, I was not having a visa. So now I have my visa. I have to reach out to the team, to you first, and maybe other people, right? If you want help,
I do. I have his Tech Ed session. Let's catch up offline and let's make it something cool. Hey, and it's studio.
Cool.
It's a studio web.
Yes.
Studio
yes,
web.
cool.
Right now I've been messing around. I'll show you offline, but for people who are listening in or tuning in later, UiPath as an automation platform tool. They have a new capability called Autopilot. You can do really cool text to ... text to applications, text to test cases, text to anywhere. So I've been messing around with that, and currently I'm doing some text to apps using Autopilot to build forms and stuff. So I don't want to. We'll game plan, but no. I just met with UiPath yesterday, and they were like, "Hey, just so you know, you're going to get a project manager to help you with Tech Ed, but that's probably it." I'm like, and they told me it could be anywhere from like 70 to up to max of like 100 people in the room. And I'm like, you're going to give me one person? I don't know, Mukesh. You've trained people before. I don't know if you've done it live in person. I've done that, and like, if you're training like 40 plus people, like you need more than one person. You're going to have that guy like, oh man, my connectors don't work, or oh man, and they don't have a package installed or something. So I'm getting excited. I'm getting excited, Joe. Sorry.
If you don't get anyone, you have me to support you.
There you go. Beautiful, beautiful. Man, what a deal. Dude, I love this. This is awesome. We're gonna fight, dude. Every time Joe brings somebody on the podcast, some crazy thing happens. This is beautiful. But hey, so have you... What do you know about? So you said, okay, we'll get back to the topic. You got me all excited for it. So the agents, the agents. Yeah. So it's agents and RPA. What's that look like? How does that? Can you give me an example of what that looks like in real life?
Okay, cool. So let's take Joy as an example, Joy, right? So he's a senior executive in a company, right? Imagine he opened his own company and he's a very big guy. I know he's a big guy now, but he has a lot of work to do, right?
Yes.
So some of his tasks include like he wants to reply to an email, or he wants to know that, hey, what is the status of my projects? Or he want to know who in my team has not submitted the timesheet, or he simply have received an proposal email and he wants to reply to that, right? So he comes to office and he see that, okay, I have these 4 or 5 tasks which are lying. Okay, cool. So now what does he do? First thing is he has a secretary who does that for him, but that's not the case because it's all his personal stuff, right?
Yes.
He can do it manually. Second thing is he can use RPA to do all this task of running in the backgrounds. He can use Gen AI to copy that abstract from the email and generate a response. For his normal queries, that status of my tickets and all, he can maybe use a chatbot, right?
Yeah.
But now, if you see, for all these problems, you have all these solutions, right? What if I give him a single solution and say that, hey, you just have to use this agent, and that will do all of that for you, and that will come to your answer also, right? So I give him an agent that is an interface, right? It can be Teams, it can be Zoom, it can be your UiPath assistant where you have a chat interface, right? He just goes and say, get me the status for this project, right? In the background, you have an LLM, you have an Gen AI understanding the context and triggering that automation, which is going to the API of your project list and getting that information back to you, right?
Okay.
So is RPA dead? No, right? Because it is still complementing the agent.
Yep, I love that. So we opened a can of worms. I could ask a billion questions from here, Joe. But what I know you probably have a thought. What do you have anything off the top, or do you want me to jump in with my questions first?
Man, to be very honest, I am just enjoying this conversation. Just by listening, I am already feeling my thoughts.
Okay.
But yeah, definitely. So did this your thoughts are pretty much what we already heard from other folks, right? So it
Yep.
leans toward the same theme, let's put that way. But one thing that I am also interested in is, and Jeremy knows that, is the longevity of this whole thing. RPAs come, it's been around for quite some time. um, when it comes to agentic, do you think this is coming to stay, or do you feel this is just something sparkling that everybody sees as the new thing and is going to fade away in some time?
I see this as staying, and I am not an expert again, right? But for me, what I see is most of the big companies, right, are trying to put this agent into their software itself.
Yeah.
So if you have noticed, right, Adobe PDF, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you open the PDF software, you have that small thing on the right side where you can ask a question and get the answer,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Again, Copilot, Microsoft
Yep.
is having that Copilot, right?
Correct.
UiPath is going to autopilot, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
if some big shots, even if I know it correctly, even Salesforce or some other big thing also have got this. IBM, right? IBM is into this thing. They call it agents with the help of IBM Watson X. So
Yeah.
the IBM Watson X is a thing, right? You might be aware of,
Yep.
where they are helping you to create agents. IBM has its own BPM tool where they use agents as the front end. They
Hmm.
use Watson as the chat interface, use BPM to trigger the automations,
Mm-hmm.
right? So everybody is trying to go there. So there is something, right? It may be a bubble, you don't know, but the kind of use cases it is solving is pretty interesting, right? When I actually talk to some of our customers, right, and they feel like, okay, if I have to run an automation, I only have two ways, right? Either I schedule it today if I exclude agents, or I have an attended automation, which means that I
Hmm.
have a dependency on that small attended interface to trigger it, right? And the
Yes.
other thing is I cannot run it with my inputs.
Mm-hmm.
How about you have a chat like interface where you just say that, hey, give me my bank statement, and then the chatbot asks which bank. You say my
Mm.
JP Morgan, and then say which account. This account. Do you want saving? Do you want this? So it gets all this input and now runs the automation based on your inputs, right? That's the power. And now imagine the use cases.
Mm-hmm.
So it opens the window of business opportunities, I would say, which you cannot tackle with the existing solution. It was there, but there was a little friction on running this. So that's what I see happening with agents. What's your take?
Yeah, I think that it's accurate. I'm kind of bullish on it. I talk a lot of trash about what it currently does and the hype around it, right? Because to me, right now, they're language models, right? Unless you're talking about RAG, even the improvements from GPT-3 up to 4.0, right? The improvements that were made aren't because of the model got better. They're doing their own agentic process where they're doing reflection and they're doing some of the stuff you were mentioning where it reinfers and loops back through the process to provide a better output. You mentioned a very key point about building LLMs, and this is a current problem with the one shot and the two shot models that we have now, where you
Yeah.
just kind of give it a prompt and it gives you back outputs. And the people at Microsoft, the key people at the senior level, they understand this issue that models need to be able to do like humans do. And if you tell me to get you something, I'm not aware which bank account I'm going to ask you. Well, which account, right? I'm going to ask you for more context. And so they're going to build that in. I think these agents will get smarter. I actually think that this technology is so powerful. It needs to get more powerful. It needs to get about 4x to 5x stronger in its capability to really get what we need out of it. But I see that and this is, I would love to get your thoughts on this, Mukesh. I see this not as it going to have like some tiny impact. I think that this will have as big an impact as the operating system itself, and that it's going
Yeah.
to completely change how businesses the operational model. It'll change how people create their business model and how it orchestrates, right? I won't need to have these super pillars of finance or, HR. I'll be able to build these micro teams and have technical
Yes.
people on those teams, and they could build solutions all day, right? These things, not only do they give you some text back, they can create code, they can build applications. So you're talking about the cycle to give businesses operational functionality to meet customer demand is greatly exponentially being reduced. And I think it's not just going to have an impact temporarily, it will, but it's going to not just be a chat agent, it's going to change the entire way the businesses function. That's my crazy
Yeah.
hypothesis, but that's what I think it'll have long term.
And you are spot on there when you mention the HR use case, right? So with my company, right, I have some other MVPs. We are continuously exploring that and showing this solution to our customers, right? So we already have a building, or sorry, working version of agents, both in cloud as well as on-prem, right? Where we
Yep.
say that, hey, we have this agentic solution. You have a use case, we have the use case, right? And the popular use case which pops out is this HR, right?
Yeah.
Now, just imagine candidate onboarding, right?
Yeah.
You have to do different kind of stuffs, right? You have to first check whether this guy has all its information, whatever he gave his from his education and all, right? You have to verify that. Then you have to verify his previous employment. You have to validate his salary slips, maybe if he's an experienced guy. Then you have to onboard him to your system, generate his passes and all, right? All these are 6 7 8 different kind of systems,
Yep.
or I would say automations in today's world,
Yeah.
which you have to do, right? Now there is an HR person sitting, right? And if he or she has to just onboard a candidate, they go for all these processes, right? But
Yeah.
not everyone has to go from all the processes. If there is a fresher guy, he don't have the background check, he don't have this thing, right? Now, what if I build a agent on top of this, right? Which understand the input from the HR that, hey, today I am going to onboard Mukesh, who is a fresher and have no experience. Okay, I understood. I just only want to run this, and this process.
Yeah. Yep.
That would be the power, right? So you already have all of this, and that all processes, which I say, that's our the RPA, right? That's where you would need RPA till the
Yeah.
time the applications do not provide you the API accesses and all, right? You still would need RPA, right?
Yeah.
When you
Yeah.
have the API, then again you can do the API call from the agents directly. That's again a new game, right?
Yeah.
Directly call the application directly from the agents, right? So
So let me jump here, Mukesh. Uh, I don't have any, to be 100% honest, I don't have any experience building
hmm,
agents or automations with AI, whatever. Like, I just see people doing or listen to people talking about it. So, from a development perspective, how much more complex is to create a solution, not an automation, a solution like you just described that has different automations plus this AI portion, right? That is going to decide, make decisions on the fly. So, and I'm asking that because I remember when I started doing RPA, it was really easy, quick and easy to understand. I had this technical background, so for me, it was really quick and easy to understand and to learn RPA. But I don't know how quick and easy would be, for me right now to create an automation or a solution with AI, with LLMs, with all those things that you were saying.
okay, so the thing is, again, I'll go back to the same discussion which you're having in the beginning, right? It's important to get started, right?
Yes.
Trust me, I am not at all an expert in LLM. I am not at all expert in AI, right? And the other thing is, you cannot do it alone, right?
Yeah.
I
It's very
cannot
important.
just say that, okay, I am going to build the complete agent by myself. I am the superhero. I will do it. I'll figure it out myself, right? No.
Hmm.
It's always okay to take help from your colleagues. It's okay to ask. If you don't know, I appreciate, right? You don't know, okay, get me, right? Give me what you have, right? So
Hmm.
how do I get started, right? So first of all, we started with the basic thing, which is the GPT, right? How does GPT work? And you would see some of the content on my channel as well, because whatever I learn, I try to share it to the other people, right? So we started with something. What is GPT? How is GPT getting involved? What GPT-4 can do, to give you a background of LLMs, right? The next thing is, how do you integrate that with your existing solution, right? You are an RPA developer, you know how to call APIs, right? Simple thing, right? HTTP request, call an API. Use
Hmm.
the same thing and call the GPT API. So what you have done is, you understand the background, you created an API from UiPath. You hit the API, and now you have response in your UiPath Studio, and you are one step into the LLM world, right? The
Mhm.
next step is you will find that okay, when I'm talking to GPT, it is giving me context from all the world. I am asking what is in my bag, and it is giving me response from all the world, right? And then you start
Mhm.
looking for okay, that means I need to have a RAG where I need to train my thing onto my data, right? Then you write your UiPath automation to pick your data, which could be PDF, which could be Excel, anything. You pass it to GPT, you write the prompt in a way that okay, now respond, but only this thing.
Hmm.
What you have
Mhm.
actually built is a RAG, right? And then you just associate it with the hi-fi words, and you're there. That's how you get started. And
Wow,
rest you'll figure it out.
that you made it sound so simple and easy.
That's funny. No, I
Is
know.
it?
Yeah, so in that regard though, like you were speaking and kind of talking on it. First, my first point is like, hey, it's this kind of work. Unlike RPA, RPA is almost a solo man show or solo woman show.
Yeah.
You can kind of build a solution one to start to finish yourself, right? But here you're saying too, like with LLMs, right? And it's when if you're not an expert yourself and even experts, so you should rely on somebody to kind of help you and build out these solutions. But it kind of makes me worry too, because even in your HR use case, let's take another one where we're using RAG for like policies, right? As soon as the policy changes, if you have an updated, whatever your methodology is for RAG and how it chunks up that data, and so actually that's my question. So I have two questions. First, I had somebody reach out to me today. We were on a phone call and he asked me this question. And I don't know, because I'm like Joe, where I dabble and I watch enough YouTube videos to sound smart on a podcast, but I don't build any solutions. So they asked me, when it comes to like GPT, how big is it, the model itself? Like, are we talking like if I want to deploy something locally, is it like, 50 gigs, 60 gigs? Is it 100 terabytes? Like, that's my first question. Like, how big is it to deploy something like this on a prim in case somebody's interested? And then second question, I'm taking two, Joe. Second question is who in this future state, who owns this? Right? We just talked about the HR scenario with the policy letter. Somebody's got to update and maintain it. If is the RPA team doing it? Is it just another IT team doing it? For you guys, you said you're starting to propose these solutions to your customers. Who's maintaining it? Are you guys pushing that into production? Love. So first, how big is it to deploy? Two, who owns this stuff if they're pushing it into production?
Okay. So what
Good
we
questions.
actually did is right. So first thing which I want to tell you is right. Not every model will fit every use case,
Yeah. Okay.
right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
So we start with RPA, right? You know that I have this RE framework. I have to use the orchestrator. I have to use the attended robots, right? There is no option for unattended robot, right? You have to use it. You have the fixed set of things to put your solution on. When it comes to these use cases, you don't know, right, whether it's going to work with Azure, whether it's going to work with OpenAI, whether it's going to work with, let's say, Llama or any other tech, right? So the first thing what we did is we tried to compare all these models on our capacity, right? We know that which model works best for which thing.
Okay.
For
Yeah. Yeah.
summarization, let's say OpenAI is better. For
Yeah.
comparison, this model is better. For language, this model is better, right?
Yep.
So
Use
again,
Llama.
Mhm.
Yeah.
first you decide, right, what which one is better. The next level to that is whether they are available on cloud or they are available on on-prem, right? So now that coming to your question, Jeremy, right? As of now, for on-prem, I think only Llama 3.1 is recently launched, which
Yeah.
is I don't know the parameter size. It's available there. So
Llama
Llama 3.1,
agents. Sorry, I'm
yeah, Llama
excited.
agent, yeah. So Llama 3.1 is something which we are looking for when somebody wants to have a private, right? So I'm a banking client. I don't want to share my data with any cloud, right? You say that, okay, it's a private cloud, but I do not want to share the data at all, right? Okay, we have an option, buy a server, deploy the Llama on top of it. Llama has been trained on good enough parameters to answer your general queries like what is the time, what is the difference between the moon, and all this stuff, right? But
Yeah.
what you have to do now is you have to train Llama on your data set,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, what is your
Mhm.
data set? It can be that HR onboarding documents, and as you are mentioning, some kind of insurance policies, right?
Yep. Yep.
To the on top of that Llama, and now you have Llama 3.1 plus your data set as a big data set. And
Mhm.
now put an interface on top of it, ask question and get answers.
Yeah.
So I hope that answers your questions.
Yeah, it did. But how big? How big are we talking?
Uh,
Terabytes? I mean,
okay.
obviously, some of it
Uh,
might deal
uh,
with your own data
yes.
sets as well, but you
Yes.
still train it. And I'm sorry,
Yeah.
Joe. The guy that I have a follow-on question. So it was really because you
Oh
reminded me.
man,
But come on, you gotta let me ask a
I
follow-on question. So
Uh,
first, what's the size? What's the size?
Okay, size I need to check Google, but what we recently found it's right. So the use case for the on-prem which we have, it was
Hmm.
just like document comparison, and the
Yeah,
document were small, let's say 15 MB, 16 MB documents, right? And it was able to easily manage that kind of data, right? Parameter size, I need to do a Google search again. I am
cool.
not, it's not available with me right now. Yeah.
I sorry, Joe, for my follow on question.
go
I
ahead,
had a
go
guy.
ahead, man.
I had a guy. He asked me this. This is a legit
Uh,
question, and these are some people, executives. They don't understand this knowledge, right? They don't. They really don't get this. So he was arguing with me in a sense. He's my friend, so we have these arguments. And he said, he's like, Jeremy. Like, even though they have these models, when you type your information in there to get a response, it's still got to reach out to the internet, right? Because it doesn't like Llama, it doesn't maintain the entire database of the internet or a general base in its brain, right? Does it? It still has to go to the internet and make a call. Is that true, or is the model trained and doesn't have to go out to the internet? You can just ask it questions already.
Disconnect the machine from the internet and try to fire up a question.
So say it again. Try.
Disconnect your machine from internet and try to fire up that question.
Okay, yeah,
Will it work?
but
Yes.
okay, there we go. So there we go. You said it. It's disconnected and try asking a question that'll work. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and it's not
Yeah.
it's not connected to the internet. Thank you. So that's the and that's why I tried to explain too.
Yeah.
But there's executives that don't know that, right? They say,
Yeah.
hey, if I want to deploy it locally and I use Llama 3 and I give it a document, is it still sending that to the internet to make a determination? No, it's
Yeah.
No,
that
it's
model's
not.
been trained, it's been deployed, it's secure.
Yeah.
There's no internet
Yeah.
connection. Cool. Thank you. That's important
It
information.
would be
Yeah.
installed on your local computer only, right?
Yeah.
So it would be installed on your local machine. You can use your normal Windows machine as well, but you will get a response time. If you have a gaming laptop,
Yeah.
then you will get a good response.
I got it
But if you
really
have a
good.
okay, so you have a really good one. So then just try to install Llama 3.1 from the server, and they have given all this information that how do you connect, right? So
Yeah.
personally, I like Python to integrate it with because
Yeah,
it's easy to write
absolutely.
the code. Syntax and
Yes.
all is available, right? Deploy the llama, just ask fire, hey, who are you and all, right? Disconnect your machine and then let's see
It'll still
how it
do it.
goes, right?
Love it. Yeah.
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 Sorry,
So
Joe.
so that's a very interest topic because it comes down to the security, right? And you were mentioning financial institutions and so on and so forth.
Yes.
I have this background. I work with a bank, and we are very worried with the security part of the information, right? So
Uh,
when we speak about AI and models and this and that, so the question that always come is what Jeremy was saying, right? Was asking. So does it go to the internet? Uh, is my data secure on premise or on my private cloud, or is this going to the internet and then feeding someone else model, right?
yeah.
From what you were saying, my understanding is that it depends, right? It depends the model that you are using, but it's possible. But
Yeah.
then it's a little bit limited at
Mm,
this point in time, right? To places that have more restrictions or regulated, those models are still limited to some extent. Then is that
yeah.
right?
Yeah, but personally, right, I like to address it in two ways, right?
Mm.
Yes, these models are limited, right? But I just cannot get everything, right? I cannot get everything, right? So you have cloud models which are very super duper. They have all these new models
Hmm.
coming up, a lot of parameters, and at the same time you want this, right? So you cannot get everything, right? You have to stick to that. The second thing is, I am not an expert in security, right? I
Hmm.
get the information whatever I read from internet, or I just try with my own one computer, right? When you propose such solution, the bank already would have a security team, right? So
Yes.
they have to always help me, right? That whether this is secure, right? You cannot just deploy a model by asking Mukesh, hey Mukesh, is it secure? You say yes, okay, let's deploy it.
Sure.
And then and later you find out that it's uploading data, right? See, I'm not an expert there, right? I'm an
Yeah.
RPA developer trying to integrate
Mhm.
all these different techs, right? You need to help me with your security questions. Show me that what is not working, right? And I'll try my best to fix that, right? But short answer, no, but I don't know, right? Because I haven't deployed it on a, let's say, a bank, right?
Yeah.
Exactly,
So the bank
exactly.
security team has to challenge me, right? That okay, I have a proof that it is uploading. If not, then yes, you have to agree to me.
Jer-
Touche.
Jeremy, I think we were talking about this the other day, right?
Yeah.
One thing that I was saying that if I am a developer, I will keep pushing until I see a stop sign, right? And
Yeah.
then when I say stop sign, I will stop, right? So it's right it's exactly what you said. Like I want to create the coolest thing that I possibly can, right? To demonstrate how cool I am.
Yep.
And until some security professional says no, you cannot do that, I'm not going to stop, right?
No,
No,
I
so
love
that's
that.
no, it's not. But I think the way it should actually get portrayed is that, right? Whenever you start such solution, right, you need to have a team of security expert. You need also to have team from
Yes.
infrastructure people, right? That what kind of GPUs you want to write, which NVIDIA you want to go for NVIDIA, you want to go for AMD,
Oh yeah,
right?
Nvidia.
I don't know, right? I don't know which is good, right? I am personally, I'll search internet, whatever I get, I'll buy that, right?
Yeah.
But if you're implementing it for a customer, you need to have a person who understand these stuff,
Yep.
who understand
Yes,
scaling, who understand
100%.
security, right? So you cannot do it alone. You need at least spoke from the different team to help you,
Yep.
right?
200%.
Teamwork.
200%.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
I
important. It's
agree.
important. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree 100% with you. I was mentioning that this, but of course I wouldn't do that, right? Just to be clear, right?
This is a
Just to be
business
clear.
podcast. I wouldn't do that in real life
Yeah,
on prod.
because we are public here, but I have to say that, right? It was just a joke. But
Yeah, no, no,
but yeah,
no.
no, I totally agree with you. Like being onboarded with architects, with security office, and everybody that has to be onboarded to
Yes.
make sure you have a great solution. So you not only you demonstrate how cool you are, but
Yeah.
also you make sure that everything is secure, is following the
And top
standards.
of that, I am covered, right? I am
Yeah.
not getting fired up. I'm not getting fired if anything screwed.
Hey,
So you
man.
all are with me.
You
This
definitely
is
don't want
so
to put
cool,
somebody
man.
else's data out there, right? Dude,
Uh,
I had a situation, right? I want to throw this out for a funny laugh, right? I had a situation back in my consulting days where I had a developer. We just implemented CI/CD,
yeah.
and the developer had built some code, and he checked it in and went home for the day. And late in the evening, I get an email from the client's IT security asking me why their code, their code for their bot is on the public GitHub repository. And not only was it out
Wow.
there, it had a SharePoint hard coded API key, site key. and
Cherry.
and
Wow.
they found it before we found it. They had some sort of tech that was crawling GitHub and found their
Yeah.
name in the code repository that'd been published. And
Oh.
so the crazy things happen, right? What happened is the developer was on their machine and they forgot to. They had some their personal GitHub repository connected, and when we implemented
Yeah.
CI/CD, there wasn't a check, and they didn't connect it, or they didn't
Yeah.
make the right connection, and then boom, somebody's code's in there. We didn't lose the customer, never lost the
Yeah.
customer, didn't get rid of the dev, right? The dev definitely pooped their pants when they found out what they did, right? They were scared. So you could, as anybody would be, right? When you find out, and you're not the one to do it. So yeah, definitely. You said I don't want to be the one. Yeah, no, you never want to be the one. You don't want to be that guy or girl,
Yes.
depending.
Yeah, not necessarily you need malicious intent to
Yeah,
something bad
Yeah.
to happen,
Yeah.
right?
Yes. Yes.
Crowd
Actually.
strike, right?
Yeah, yeah,
You don't have to
exactly.
be malicious.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's one thing that happened to me actually, like 10 years ago. I had I was working to this company, and we had so many different passwords and credentials, and I
Uh-oh.
had all stored in one Excel or one text file in my working laptop, right? In my mind, now I know how stupid I was, right? But I wanted to make a backup, right? I want to have a backup of that file because I thought, what if I lose this, right? I am screwed. Guess guess how I did the backup. Just try to guess.
You send it to your email.
Yeah, he
Let
emailed it to
Personal
himself.
email. Yeah, I
I'll
sent
leave
to my
it.
personal email, my Gmail, and then in
Uh,
the, I was truly I was trying to have a backup, just that. But man, next day, next thing I know, my manager came to me. Oh, the folks got you. They found you sent this email to yourself. So what happened here? So I had to explain, right, and I had to do like some trainings and prove that I had deleted. My manager had to report. There was all sorts of things that I had to do, but man,
and
that was a thought lesson.
and then to prove yourself, you have to show them that hey, these are my passwords. See, it's not your data, right? So you end up exposing your password now to the
Yes.
security team to see
Dude,
which
that
is my
is
password.
wild. That's crazy. You
Honest.
have any?
Yeah.
I have a even crazier situation than that, Joe. Like I did
What?
something very similar, very
Uh,
similar. But the whole story around it's even crazy. But do you have any weird stories like that, Mukesh, where you were
Yeah.
either you or somebody you were around that something crazy like that happened? Can you think of something wild? Like it was like, oops.
Yeah, I know from this RPA thing, right? So
Hmm.
I was leading a team. We
So
had
it's
a
definitely your fault then.
we
No.
yeah.
He said I was
Yeah,
leading the
it's
team.
kind of my fault. I'll take the blame, right? So we had this developer. There was an issue, right? And he copied the stuff. And now what happened is there was a issue, and to fix the code, what he did is he updated the config with his personal kind of paths, right?
Hmm.
And that personal path was again shared to everybody. We had the developer share drive. He put the developer share drive link into the config of production,
Mm.
and it got checked in and it was working there, right? and and it was all fine, right? Because it was also a public drive for developers. He just checked in. I also didn't verify each and every instance, right?
Yep.
And I was like, okay,
Ah,
let it be, right? He's okay,
yeah,
let
yeah,
it
he's
go
got
and
it.
fix the issue, right? Fix the issue, right? It got working, and the strange part was all the logs for, because he has put his drive, all the production logs, everything was getting dumped in the developer machine, and nobody noticed till the time it got again faulted. Next time it got
Man.
faulted. Okay, let's go and find the logs. Okay, where are the logs? We don't see logs in production machine. But how it is running without logs? Okay. Then you find out, oh,
You
okay, from
figure it
last
out.
1 month we are getting the logs into my development machine, right? And then
wow.
It's like crashing. That's nuts,
yeah,
man. No,
so
my story is very similar to yours, Joe. Right? So if you're familiar with large companies like Tata or TCS, these companies are massive. And the problem is like we started doing RPA. I was doing RPA almost 11 years ago at USAA. Tata was one of their key blue chip clients. And the problem is when this technology started blowing up and they saw that we were saving USAA millions, Tata executives came down and they said, "Hey, Jeremy, you're great at talking about the use cases. We want to go take you." And they started putting me on the RFP responses. So if you're not familiar with that, it's like when they get offers and the company reaches out and they want you to write a proposal. I was on the team helping build the proposals because I knew the use cases, and they were flying me out to different places. Now the issue here is that they're flying me out to competitors of the customer that I'm working for. So I'm here at USAA. TCS, Tata's flying me out to Citibank in Florida to pitch them on RPA solutions that I'm building over here. Right. So, looking back, it's not the greatest scenario, but, they were like, dude, this is Jeremy. That's what you do. And like TCS, it's kind of understood. Like if you want to progress, then you got to take on these extra responsibilities and help them get deals. So that's what you do. And so, long story short, I was doing this for them, and they were jerking me around on a promotion. They're like, "Oh, we'll give you promotion next year," And meanwhile, they were giving me title. I had a bigger team doing this, but no raise. And so, what ended up happening is my boss got this great VP job at another company. And I was like, I'm kind of tired of this consulting work. And he wanted to start an RPA program. And I was like, well, I don't have to be a consultant. I can be on the customer side. Come with you. You're a VP. I can set up this program. Love it. So what I did is I decided to shoot myself some emails of some of the templates that I'd used, right? That we did for like a PDD or something. I said, to show myself some templates. And and here's the thing. I've been sending RFP responses and all the work I've done for Tata. I've been sending all that work outside of my personal email for months. Nobody cares that I'm working in these $1 billion deals and sending paperwork out to myself through Gmail when I shouldn't be. But as soon as I send the templates, it's a problem. But here's the situation: I sent these templates. And I'm all good. I decided to give my notice into TCS. I said, I'm leaving. I got a job offer. I'm going there. They're like, great. And I was working remote. So HR calls me when I'm supposed to give up my badge. They said, hey, plans have changed. We need you to meet at the front office and drop your badge off there. So I go in there and it's me, and it's like Ram, who's like the head of delivery at USAA, so he owns like 1,000 consulting resources there, and I'm like HR and all these people there. I'm like, what the heck? And they said, hey, Jeremy, we noticed that you've been sending some templates out through your email. Information security caught you, and I'm like, dude. I was like, dude, I was using those for a project or something. I don't know. I tried to make up some excuse. At the end of the day, when I came in there to turn in my badge, they said instead of it being me quit and leaving for the job, they said they're going to classify it as a termination because I shared those templates outside of the network. And I was like, oh, that's nice. So literally I was in a situation just like you, Joe, where they were like, hey, you share these templates. And even though I was leaving, they decided to like stick the knife on my way out and say, hey, well, we're going to change it because you sent some documents, even though I've been doing it, right? So I think companies are kind of weird about that,
You win this trend between all three of us. Right?
No, it's crazy.
You have it documented.
Yeah, right? Documented, like, dude. So I don't, and at the end of the day, like, I don't, if you have like you got to think this is 11 years ago, their PDD, SDD, reframework didn't exist, right? Exactly. So when you're setting up a program from scratch, it's like, dude, all of this stuff at USAA, I created it. None of these documents existed, so I built these templates. I have the knowledge in my brain. I could just go rebuild it over there. So you're telling me because I saved myself a couple hours and I shipped myself the template that it's not proprietary. There was no data on it. It's literally a template. So, I was like, whatever. But, hey, I have my own opinions on it. But everybody can have them. Yeah, you can't quit your fire. So, that's what Chad said.
It's that, man. Wow, it's so complex, this topic, right? Because you created while you're working for them, right?
Yeah.
So if we check your contract, it's probably saying that whatever you create while you are
intellectual property, absolutely,
exactly.
But I can recreate it.
But I get your point, right? So there's no proprietary, there's no data per se there, right?
Dude, I just realized too, it's been so long, like I miss telling the story. I did not get fired for sending templates. That's actually not why they terminated me. They terminated me for breaking a non-compete and joining a company, Southwestern Bell, that was a competitor. They were like, even though they were in a completely different business than USAA, USAA had a subsidiary company that did similar business. So I forgot. Yeah. So it actually, even though I sent those things, and you're right, it was IP. They probably could have just terminated me for that reason. But there was something weird. They had the proof, but I guess my story or BS story was good enough. But what they terminated me for was violating a non-compete because I joined a company without waiting 6 months. To do it. It was funny you were saying that. I don't know what triggered that thought. That it was like, oh wait, I'm lying here. That's not even actually what happened. But it's complex, right? I agree with you, and I guess that's like an ethical debate. Like whether I got to take the templates or not, I knew I could just recreate them because it was in my brain. I just didn't want to have to recreate them. So, was it wrong? Maybe. Was it right? Probably not. When we get wiser, right? We make mistakes, right? I think we started off with that topic, right? When you're first getting started and you don't know what to do, you're going to make mistakes,
Exactly.
but don't be afraid to try something.
Yeah, I had a lot of issues with production when I had too much access, and
That sounds dangerous. Sorry.
man, I
Having too
have
much
stories for
access.
myself. Colleagues of mine. There was one I almost shit myself. I was production support, and I had like full access to the database, and I was trying to improve, right? I was trying to make some improvements, but the most basic rule when you are doing changes on your database, you make a backup, or you create sessions, right? So you do sessions, and then you can roll back, and then when you are sure, you commit. I didn't do anything of that, right? And what happens was I deleted, like I deleted like a full table, or
Man.
was I think it was many tables. I truncated the whole
Deleted a whole
production
database.
scheduler. So we had like 50 or 60 jobs, and they were scheduled on the database. I just deleted everything. Man, when I realized that I had deleted the schedulers, I just, for a second, I just froze. But then, for a few hours, I worked silently, just with myself.
Thinking about what you're going to do as the next job.
Yeah, well, the pressure taught you a lot, And I just started working one job, and then after another job, I had some data on the QA database. I knew some of them off the top of my head, so I kind of created them on the fly. After I had to work some good 5-6 hours on this, but then I put everything back.
Nice.
But that was
that had to have been
When
a
you
very
talk about
what an experience, man.
when you talk about this production support and a developer, right? So when I used to work as a developer, right, and now I am a manager, right?
Yep.
Now I was a developer, right, and I have to do a small code change. It was just like a small config change, and the support team used to say me that, hey, you have to have this change request, you have to have
Yep.
this, you have to have this here. And I was like, why are these guys not technical, right? Why are
Yeah,
these guys not technical, right? It's a
Yeah.
simple config change. Just make A to B and the thing is
Push
working,
the
right? Why
code.
do you have what's the
exactly.
code? That's it, right? And now that was my, and I used to always fight with my boss that, hey, see, this is what I have done, you are stopping me, you are holding my hands with these policies, with this,
Yep.
and
Slowing
blah
you
blah
down.
blah, with this, so you're slowing me now, what's the, and now when I am at other side of the table, right, and
Right.
now I realize, seeing,
Exactly.
listening all the stories, right, these are all important things, right,
Yes.
to document, to have that process in place, right? So, and not to
Absolutely.
have that access, right? Previously, I used to
Exactly.
fight like that. Hey, I built this all this 60 robots, right? Why can't I have access? And now I
Yeah.
realize that, okay, if I don't have that access, it's good, right?
Yeah.
I have to
It's
just request
awesome.
it. It's awesome, right? It's awesome not to have everything, right?
Yep.
Exactly.
Previously, I used to like, "Nah, I should have all the admin access," and now I'm like, okay, the less access I have,
Yeah.
The
and
better.
I am responsible for my thing, it's good.
Yeah.
So yes, these all things, you, when you mature in your career, you go to that stage, right? You realize that, okay, these are all important stuff.
Yeah.
Exactly. I used to think that if I had all the access, I don't know, there was some importance, right, to my role, or I was doing a better job, or whatever that was. But exactly, as the time progressed, you realize that not having the access is actually a good thing, right? Because then,
Yeah.
one,
No, I'm not.
you don't risk doing mistakes. Two, you have the segregation of roles. Three, you have to have a process, a change process to implement your changes.
Yep.
you have
Absolutely.
then the support folks with the right access that
Yes.
will pay attention better than you as a developer. So there's a lot of
Yeah.
good aspects to it. But man, the conversation is going awesome. But
Too
I
much.
just realized is 11:37 p.m. Eastern time.
Yeah, no
So
doubt.
I'm
My
okay to,
kids,
yeah.
my kid is kicking in the door. He's like, "Papa, get out of here! I want to go to bed." But hey, before we never want to close it down without a nice soft landing. So, Mukesh, we genuinely appreciate you spending your time coming to the show. I can't wait to connect it forward. But I would love to get anything that you have, any cause that you want to share, whether it's promote your YouTube or some new initiative that you're working on. I'd love to give you the floor for 30 seconds. Let us know what you're working on. Let us know what the people should be checking out coming out from your end.
Okay, so if you are an RPA developer, you might be looking to upskill yourself, right? And you might be thinking, what should I learn next, right? I take a lot of interviews. I talk about it. That are the free mock interviews. Any one of you wants to test your knowledge, reach out to me, and I will arrange a free mock interview for you. The second thing is people always ask me that what should I learn next, right? And my obvious take is learn databases and learn at least one programming language, which could be Python. The next question is where do I get started with Python, right? So I have started a series on Python on my channel
Great.
from starting that how do you install Python, get started with Hello World to connecting with RPA and
Oh wow.
working, and a database series from installing SSMS to connecting to UiPath and passing data to and fro, right? If
There
you're a
you go.
beginner, check it out.
Hey, he said it right. He believes that the road for generative AI is not going to stop anytime soon. And he's giving you a course on how to get started. Joe even said it earlier. It's important that you take action. You got to take that first step. Don't be scared. I love this session. I think I'm for once, Joe, you might have hit on mark. I might be a session I'm looking forward to listening back to. But Joe, what do you have, man? What
Exactly.
do you have to close this out, brother?
Just appreciation. I really appreciate your time, Mukesh. Again, short notice, so no plannings, no time to plan too much. I really appreciate your time and your effort to be here. Jeremy, I appreciate you as well as usual,
Yes,
my
sir.
partner in crime. So
Absolutely.
our 11th episode and moving towards our goal, our fifth episode.
Beautiful. Well, thank you, Mukesh. I'm going to cut the
Okay.
music, get us out of here. Thank you so much this evening. Thank you guys. And to everybody that watched and stopped by, appreciate it. To those listening on Spotify afterwards, love the support. Everyone have a wonderful weekend. Let's get out of here,
Awesome.
Joe. All right.
Cool.
Rain and